Hello and welcome to me ranking 6 songs. Now what this will be is because I've seen it live and listened to the soundtrack, it's kind of like a mix of both of them. So overall, a ranking of the songs, let's go. Now coming in last place is Heart of Stone. Maybe because it's not very good. Look, I've talked in my review about how the tonal shift just doesn't work. You spend the first 20 minutes of the show being all happy, and then all of a sudden you just become a wee bit depressed because Heart of Stone comes on. And it's not just that, if it came on the soundtrack, I skip it. I genuinely, it is the one that is just an always guaranteed skip for me, so it has to be at number 9. At number 8 we have I Don't Need Your Love. This is the other Queen song that is a bit, a bit sadder, a bit slower, and I don't think it works for this style of show. Look, I'm not saying a slower song wouldn't have worked, but I feel like neither one of these songs really pops very well, and it just so happens that they are the slower ones that just don't generate as much interest for me. Again, this song is also just way too long. It gets to a point where I'm just bored of it. And it also doesn't help that historically this Queen just isn't as interesting, just doesn't have as much going on, and therefore there isn't really much of a story to tell with her. Now at number 7, we've got Ex-Wives. For me, this one just doesn't really pop. You've got a couple of other group numbers in this show, and this is the one that just doesn't quite work for me. I think the problem for me is the song never really builds anywhere, it never really goes, and it kind of just ends. That, and it's a mix of both repetitive and way too long, and therefore that isn't a bad mix. If it's repeating things, which then makes it too long as well, not for me. Now at number 6, we have No Way. Now this is kind of the last one that I'm kind of like a bit meh on. Out of the Queen songs that allow themselves to be a little bit fun, this is the weakest one. I just don't really think it has too much going for it. Look, it's fun enough, it does some cool things. Do I have others that I think are a lot better? Yes. Therefore, I have to put it low because this is a ranking. Things I do for a YouTube segment, I'll put in the shower. Now at number 5, we have Get Down. We're really getting to some of my favourites here. I think this one is really clever with the way it uses the history to create this song. It's just really fun and upbeat in that way. I just think this song has a lot of personality, uses its historical story well, and is incredibly, incredibly enjoyable. Plus the performance on the soundtrack, it's fun. It's so much fun. Now, here it is. At number 4, we have House of Holbein! Woo! I'm not having any stick from you lot in the comments. If any of you want to have a go at me, you're wrong. House of Holbein is fantastic! It is! It's very funny within the show. It works well. It gives all the queens a chance to be funny and together and have a song together. I love it. Plus, it's just a bit of a boogie. Number 3, we have 6. Now this might have been a little bit lower if I hadn't seen the show, but when you see the show, you realise how much of an uplifting ending this is. Allowing the queens to, take on their own narrative and really, make the story their own, it just adds so much charm to the show. It also does help that this song is genuinely just really good. Really fun, really catchy, I don't think you can beat it. At number 2, we have All You Wanna Do. Now, 8 and 9 on this list, I criticised them because they just weren't really, they used sad subject matter and were a bit slower, but just didn't work. I think this is a perfect example of a song that tells a bit of a sadder story, but does it in a much more fun way. I think it fits the tone of the show very, very well, and is excellently performed. And it manages to strike this perfect balance, leading you in with something very fun, and then eventually kind of just breaking your heart. It gets really, really emotional, and I really rate that. And you guessed it, at number 1, we have Don't Lose Your Head. Yes, is that the generic choice? Probably, but there is a reason why it's probably everyone's favourite. I think it has that perfect mix of being fun, really fitting the tone well, being very well performed. I also think it's one of those that just uses the history so well, just uses it to be really fun, really creative, and it's one of those that, unlike some that I've said I will skip, some of them where I haven't clarified whether I'd skip them or not, this is one you don't skip. It's got the non-skippable award. It's a Fraser Oliver non-skippable ad of a song. Thank you very much for watching. If there are other musicals you want me to rank, please let me know in the comments below. Plus, I've made lots of other 6 content and I'll leave it in the card on the end.
But you know what isn't number 6 on Top Best Podcast? Mediocre at best. That goes at the top, so subscribe.
Subscribe to Mediocre at Best. Linked down